welcome to Islington. This historic neighbourhood lies to the north of central London, and it actually began life as a hamlet. It then transformed into a village famous for its dairy farming in the 17th and 18th centuries, and now it's mainly residential. Peppered with leafy greens and historic pubs, in this travel guide we're going to show you the best of Islington, including top attractions and hidden gems. If you want to learn more about the history of Islington, then there's a small free museum in the basement of the library. It focuses on prehistory right up until the present day, and it is pretty informative, covering lots of different aspects of local life. Islington is actually home to Arsenal FC, and there are several displays about this iconic club within the museum. With thousands of years of history, Islington is home to many fascinating stories, but something I particularly enjoyed reading about was the suffragettes and how they were imprisoned in Holloway, which was the first women-only prison in England. All across Islington, you'll find tiny little theatres. These were often housed in pubs. This is one of the most famous. This is the Old Red Lion, and the pub itself dates all the way back to 1415. Islington High Street leading to Upper Street is probably the area that is most closely associated with Islington, and the easiest way to get here is to Angel Tube Station. Upper Street Bookshop is a delightful independent store selling everything from children's books to fantasy novels. I really like seeing their concept of date with a book, whereby you buy a mystery wrapped book based on its description rather than its cover. The first film screened in England was right here at the Royal Agricultural Hall, which is now known as the Business Design Centre. The prettiest street in Islington has to be Camden Passage. This pedestrian-only street is filled with cafés, boutiques and independent shops. We ended up getting a light lunch at a cafe called Frequency. They're actually a chain of coffee shops, and they do sandwiches, hot drinks, and most conveniently of all, they actually have upstairs seating. Camden Passage is also home to an antiques market, but most of them are unfortunately closed today because it's a Monday. One of the nicest things about coming to Islington is wandering around all of the little side streets and seeing the local Georgian architecture. It's really quite charming. If you're a fan of waterside walks, then Islington has easy access to canals, the most famous being Regent's Canal. This is a stunning walk. You can actually go on boat rides along here, you can go on cycle rides, and of course you can just walk and enjoy nature. The term in English, legging it, actually came from the canals. Once upon a time, boatmen, before they had engines, would have to lie on the back of the top of their boats and run them along underside bridges in order to get them moving, and so that is where that term came from. Islington actually has the lowest number of green spaces anywhere in central London, but if you know where to look, you can find quiet pockets of calm. For example, this is Duncan Terrace, and it's really nice to sit here, enjoy all of the local wildlife and see all of the squirrels running around. Chapel Market is home to a market most days of the week, but as I said, it's a Monday and so it's not taking place today. If you do want to learn more about London markets, then you can check out our London markets video. Another green space which is particularly nice is Culpeper Community Garden. This was created in the 1980s on a former waste site and is named for the 17th century botanist Nicholas Culpeper. It's really nice, particularly in the autumn as it is now, because you can see all the berries and the changing of the leaves. We've now come back to Upper Street, which Charles Dickens actually once described as one of the loudest and most disagreeable thoroughfares in London. It's still quite loud, but there are a few gems to discover along the street. Around halfway along Upper Street, you'll find Islington Green. This is a lovely green space, and the best thing of all is this cute statue of Bob the street cat. The story is that James Bowen was struggling with addiction, and one day on his way to work he came across a ginger cat that was not doing very well, and so he brought it to the RSPCA. However, he found that once the cat had recovered, it kept following him around, and he said that the cat actually ended up helping him recover from addiction. Today, this memorial to Bob is very touching, and it's surrounded by benches with quotes by James Bowen. Funnily enough, when we were actually filming this video a little bit earlier today, we actually came across an adorable ginger cat who seemed to be doing really well, and all the people on the street were going and petting him. The screen on the Green was opened in 1913, making it one of the oldest continuously running cinemas in the UK. Although St Mary's was probably founded as far back as the 12th century, what you see today was built during the 1950s after the previous church on site was destroyed during World War II. Step inside and you'll find a really modern design. Right next to St Mary's Church, you'll find St Mary's Church Garden. This was actually the parishioners' place of burial for hundreds of years, and it's thought that there was actually a church on site since at least a few years after the Norman Conquest. So quite a few people were buried here. In 1885, this space was laid out as a public garden, and then it was once more renovated in 2001. There are plenty of cute cafes dotting this part of Islington, and as it was spitting down with rain a bit, we decided to go into High Ground, which is not only a cafe but also transforms into a wine bar in the evenings. As I mentioned, there are quite a few pretty squares and terraces in this area, but we're going to go to one of the most unique ones now. Lonsdale Square was laid out between 1838 and 1845. It's really unique in that it's built in the Tudor Gothic Revival style, and there's lots of really intricate details on all of the houses. Every single one of them is listed. Canonbury Square is yet another charming corner of Islington, and there are a few attractions of note here. Most notably, you'll find the historic collection of 20th century contemporary Italian art, but there is also this green plaque dedicated to George Orwell, who lived in the square from 1944 to 1947. In times gone by, obviously most of London was lit by gas lamps. Now only 1,500 or so remain, and one of them can be found here at Canonbury Place. What do Thomas Cromwell, Sir Francis Bacon and Washington Irving all have in common? Well, at one point in time or another, they all owned or occupied Canonbury House and Canonbury Tower, which is just behind me. This is actually the oldest building in Islington, as parts of it date all the way back to the 16th century. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more UK travel content. See you next week.